Please come to order. Good morning. Welcome to the Commissioners of St. Mary's County meeting this date, Tuesday, August 24th, 2021. I am Randy Guy, President of the Commissioners of St. Mary's County. I'd like to introduce the other commissioners. Sitting to my right, representing the 1st Commissioner District, which includes Ridge, Piney Point, St. George Island, Mr. Eric Colvin.
Good morning.
Representing the 2nd Commissioner District, which includes Leonardtown, Hollywood, Mr. Mike Hewitt.
Good morning.
John O'Connor, who represents the 3rd Commissioner District, is unable to be here today. Attending the meeting today via Zoom is Todd Morgan, who represents the 4th Commissioner District, which includes Lexington Park, some of California, Great Mills, and some of Hollywood. Are you on?
Morning, everyone.
Hey,
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Okay,
Thank you.
Good. Now, Mr. David Weiskopf, our county attorney, is sitting in at the table to my left, representing, Dr. Bridget is unable to attend today. She's getting another one of her treatments today, and he will be the acting county administrator. Elisa Cassis, our communications director, sitting at the table to my right.
Good morning.
Amy Carter, our video media producer, is behind the glass. Please turn your cell phones off or on vibrate. When you come to the presenter's table, please approach by coming down the center aisle. And remember, this meeting is being televised, so you need to speak clearly and directly into the microphone for recording purposes. At this time, please stand for the invocation and pledge. Dear Heavenly Father, we ask you to bless the present Board of Commissioners, that we do the duty for the people of St. Mary's County and make correct decisions and help and continue to build St. Mary's County for a better county and better living space for our people. And may those who are out sick today get better. Amen. Amen. Please, for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. Next, we need the approval of the consent agenda.
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Thank you. Next, we have some proclamations today. The first one is for Child Support Awareness Month. Commissioner Hewitt will be reading. I think we have a few people here from the State's Attorney's Office on the Child Support Division.
If you guys don't mind, can we stand up here in front? And certainly. I think we need to get back to normal. This is what we did for years. And I'm fully vaccinated, as everybody here. I hope you're all fully vaccinated. Come on. Child Support Awareness Month. This proclamation is being accepted by Joseph Boyd, State's Attorney for the Child Support Division.
I'm standing for Joseph. He had a baby this weekend.
Oh, congratulations to Joseph and
exactly right. Big
his
day.
parents and everybody else. I know it's a big day.
Yes, it is.
Well, this is Dan White. Doesn't look like Joseph Boyd, but
Good morning.
whereas every child has the right to a quality of life that includes emotional and financial support from both parents. The consistent payment of child support helps to lift children out of poverty and provide for their daily needs. And whereas the Maryland Department of Human Services, Child Support Division, Bureau of Support, and St. Mary's County State's Attorney's Office works with parents and custodians to ensure that children are financially supported and have access to health care. And whereas the State's Attorney's Office works collaboratively with the Department of Social Services, Bureau of Support to facilitate paternity testing, to establish orders of paternity, child support, and health insurance, and to modify and enforce support orders. And whereas the FY 2020, the Department of Social Services, Bureau of Support, and the State's Attorney's Office assisted families in collecting $13,763,892 in child support, established 76 paternity orders, 263 child support and health insurance orders, modified 310 orders, and filed 327 contempt show cause petitions. Now therefore, we, the Commissioners of St. Mary's County, do hereby recognize August 2021 as Child Support Awareness Month and encourage every parent to actively support the emotional and financial well-being of their children.
Commissioner.
Maybe it's already been given to you. This thing looks empty.
Good. We'll do the real work.
Well, go ahead.
Mr. Boyd, can you introduce the other people too that are with you today?
Sure. So my name's Daniel White, and Kevin is the head of child support. Bureau of Support Enforcement. He'll have a few words to say.
Well, basically, it's a team effort from the whole county, Sheriff's Department, State's Attorney's Office, our office, and the Department of Social Services, as far as that's concerned. We're just out here to make sure that we're serving the needs of our children in the community and our nation as a whole. Thank you.
Very good. Very good. Thank you. One second. Photo op.
Yeah, we always get a picture in the front. You want us in front, Alexis, or is this okay?
Oh, you're good. I got
Okay,
it all.
there we go.
Thank you.
Thank you all very much for your work. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Grant.
See you, bud. See you.
Okay, next we have Women's Equality Day. Commissioner Colvin will be reading that. And I think we have a few people here to represent the Commission for Women. I think Norma Pipkin, are you here? There you go. Okay, Norma. And whoever else might be here, please come forward.
Looks like we got Katie Werner with her. Good morning. If you all are okay, we'll just keep the distance as is our policy right now. Okay. So I'm excited to be able to present this proclamation to you all. And it reads, whereas on August 26, 1920, the women of the United States of America were granted the right to vote through the passage of the 19th Amendment, and whereas the United States has designated August 26 as Women's Equality Day to commemorate the passage of the 19th Amendment and serve as a symbol of the continued struggle for equal rights for all, and whereas the women of St. Mary's County are to be commended for their efforts to promote local organizations and activities in the political arena and encouraged to continue to exercise their hard-won right to participate fully in the political process, now therefore we, the Commissioners of St. Mary's County, do hereby honor the anniversary of the passage of the 19th Amendment and National Women's Equality Day. We call upon the people of St. Mary's County to take a moment to acknowledge that milestone and to continue striving for global equal rights. Thank you all.
Commissioners, if I may, thank you for
Please.
the opportunity to pay homage to the brave women that fought so hard for the right to vote. I like to think that it started right here in St. Mary's County.
It did.
And in St. Mary's City when Margaret Brent went before the Assembly and requested both voice and vote in 1648. But it would be 200 years later when women would gather in Seneca Falls, New York, to start the true suffrage movement. And there, their declaration of sentiment, one of those, included the following phrase: "He has compelled her to submit to the laws for which she has no vote and no voice." So again, women are requesting both vote and voice. In 1878, the right to vote was first proposed in Congress, but for the next 40 years plus, it would fail to be adopted. Throughout all those years, women persisted and endured many hardships in their struggle for equality. That included being arrested, being beaten, being spat upon, and when they were jailed for peaceful protest, some of them decided that they would, in fact, go on a hunger strike. The powers to be at that time determined that they must be force-fed, because if they were not force-fed and one would happen to die, it could cause public sympathy for the cause. World War I brought about a labor shortage, required women to move into positions that were non-traditional. The beliefs that women were physically and intellectually inferior to men were proven wrong during that process as they were extremely successful in their new roles. On August 26, 1920, the 19th Amendment to the Constitution of the United States was finally ratified. Many of the women that began the thought never were able to exercise their voting privileges. The St. Mary's County Commission for Women challenges every woman to honor those that have gone before us by registering to vote, by running for office, by campaigning for their candidates, and by all means, please vote at every opportunity. Thank you.
Well said.
Oh, very well said. We will stand if y'all just turn around. We'll get a photo up here. Okay, next we have Miss Alice Allen.
Good morning, Commissioners.
We're sorry to see you retire, but it comes that time in everybody's life they make that decision. First, I want to personally thank you for everything you've done under working for Lori and everything in the Aging Human Services that you may have been a part of. It's very grateful. Officially commends Alice Allen for 26 years and 3 months of outstanding, praiseworthy, and dedicated service with St. Mary's County government. Through your diligence, dedication, and relentless pursuit of excellence, you have rightfully earned the community's gratitude, respect, and admiration. We hereby express our sincere congratulations on this occasion of your retirement and extend best wishes for your future endeavors and ask God's blessing upon you. This date, September 1st, 2021. Thank you very much, Alice. Good chance in front of all of us to make your peace with us.
Well, I just would like to say thank you very much. I have always felt very blessed and grateful for the opportunity.
Well, we thank you for. It's hard to leave anywhere after serving 26 plus years. I know it's difficult, and you're leaving a lot of friends and co-workers and everything else behind.
It's been a wonderful experience, and it's been a great ride. And I appreciate Laurie and all the folks that I've worked with.
I know you had a great staff all the time, and everybody worked with you very well.
Thank
Had nothing
you.
but good things.
Alan, you've
heard
done
about
a
you.
great job. All
Yes.
the meals, all that stuff you've done,
Yeah,
you've made a difference.
yeah.
Yep.
You made a difference.
Not everybody gets to say at the end of their career that they made a difference.
Made a difference in somebody's
And you
life.
did. And you get to come back and enjoy the fruits of your labor too, so that's wonderful.
Win-win.
It is. It is.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much again. Laura, you have anything?
Yes, so I would like to add that I met Alice about 15 years ago in August, and she was as big a supporter of the department, supporter of county government and me on day one as she is today and beyond. We have identified a person to fill the position of division manager for senior center operations, but no one can take Alice's place for sure.
I'm sure.
We'll miss you, Alice,
Thank you.
and thank you.
Thank you so
Thank
much again. Thank you very much. Laura. Okay. Just open it up and, yeah, there you go.
Mr. Allen.
Is that all right?
Okay.
Sir, would you like to be in the photograph as well?
Thank you again. Thank you very much. Okay, with that, we'll go right into county administrator time.
Thank you, Commissioner President Guy. First is the draft agendas for August 31st and September 14th. There will be no meeting of the Commissioners on September 7th. And on Tuesday, August 31st, you'll start at 9 a.m. with the invocation and pledge by Commissioner President Guy, approval of consent agenda. You'll have some proclamations for Suicide Prevention Month and for National Recovery Month. And then the Office of the County Attorney will request a public hearing to repeal the solar moratorium ordinance. And then at 9:15, you'll convene as the St. Mary's County Board of Health, 9:35 County Administrator time, 10:40 Commissioners time, 10:50 closed session litigation, and then you will adjourn. On September 14th, please note you'll start at 1 p.m. with the invocation and pledge by Commissioner Colvin, approval of the consent agenda, proclamation for National Forget-Me-Not Month, and also for the Hispanic Heritage Month. And then you will convene at 1:20 as the St. Mary's County Board of Health, and Department of Land Use and Growth Management will request a public hearing for a comprehensive water and sewer amendment for property on tap. And at 1:50 is the County Administrator time, and then at 2:30 is Commissioner's time, and then you'll adjourn. And then first up on the agenda is the University System of Maryland at Southern Maryland, and I know Mr. Anderson is here, Ms. Abel is here, and Mr. Sarcasero is here as well. Thank you. To present, and I know we also have many people on Zoom as well, and maybe Mr. Anderson can introduce those.
Good to see you, Commissioner Anderson.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
Good to see you too as well, Commissioner Colvin, Commissioner Hewitt, Commissioner Guy, Commissioner Morgan, somewhere. Hello.
He's there. He's there.
Yeah, I know he is. First of all, I want to thank you for the opportunity for meeting with us today and to give us this opportunity to provide you an update on all the very excellent things that are happening at the University Systems, I'll take this off, University Systems of Southern Maryland, at Southern Maryland, including the construction of our new smart building. We have several of the Board of Advisors with us today via Zoom, and others are watching live on YouTube. We have Twanda Jordan from St. Mary's College, a member of our Board of Advisors, Denise Barnes from Charles County, I'm sorry, Denise, George Hurlbert from Charles County, and I think that's all. Well, of course, Matt Scassero is a member of our Board of Advisors as well. First, let me say that it's a pleasure to be with you today in person. It's been a long 2 years, but I think you'll see after our presentation today from Eileen Abel, our Executive Director, and Matt, how much progress we've made despite the pandemic. So with that, let's go into the presentation. I know you have a busy agenda. I think first we have Chancellor Jay Perman will join us via a pre-recorded message. The Chancellor had hoped to be here at least virtually, but last-minute changes to his schedule precluded that. I'd also like to thank your staff for the excellent assistance that they gave us in setting this meeting up. Alyssa Casas, David Weiskopf, Alex Huseman, Catherine Pratson couldn't have been more helpful and more accommodating. And, I think it speaks well of the quality of our people in county government. So without further ado, let's hear what Chancellor Perman has to say, and then we'll go into our presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Anderson.
Thank you, Joe. Good morning, everyone. I appreciate this opportunity to talk with you today. We all know the USM at Southern Maryland is a fantastic story, and we're telling it every chance we get. Of course, St. Mary's County is an integral piece of that story. You are an integral piece of our story. Your commitment to the USM-SM, your significant support of it, makes our work and our vision real. Thank you. I'd like to talk about that vision very briefly, because to me, it's an expansive one. It's one that has the support of Dr. Abel and, of course, this Board of Advisors. With our partners in education, business, and industry, we see the USMSM as serving the needs of this entire region, its people, its workforce, its communities, its economy. And it'll do that in a few ways. The center will be proactive in developing partnerships that strengthen the talent pool for Southern Maryland employers, that develop in students the skills and abilities that pay off for them and pay off for the organizations that are desperate to hire them. The USMSM will build partnerships and programs with Southern Maryland school districts, with the College of Southern Maryland, with St. Mary's College, so that we can stop hemorrhaging students from our education pipeline, so that we can give students options every step of the way, options that make it easier for them to map their future and get what they need to succeed. All of it right here in Southern Maryland. We know the region's four-year degree rate lags far behind the share of jobs that require one, not just in STEM and technology fields, but in business, education, social work. There is no reason this gap can't be closed. With our higher ed partners in Southern Maryland, we can do two things. Number one, get students into post-secondary education, and number two, offer residents work-based training that leads to high-demand, high-paying jobs. And there's more. If this past year has taught us anything, it's that equity must be front and center for us, foundational to what we do. If we're here to serve Southern Maryland, and we don't enroll black and brown students, if we don't enroll low-income students, first-generation students, and if we don't enroll them at a share equal to their number in the population, then we're not fulfilling what I consider a fundamental contract in higher ed. Equity is not optional. We have to develop scholarships, internships, summer work programs to help students offset their cost of study and begin building the relationships that will keep them in Southern Maryland, that will keep them contributing to the region and its communities and its strength. And of course, we have to support College Park in growing the research function of the new SMART building. Last summer, I got to see building construction firsthand. The USMSM was actually my first campus visit since becoming chancellor last year. And I cannot wait to be back with you in St. Mary's County when we finally cut the ribbon. Obviously, the building will add so much to our teaching mission and our research mission. It'll be our hub for collaboration with the Navy, our link to researchers around the world who want to work with us. It's the key to bringing together some of the country's best university and agency-based people, developing the latest unmanned systems, technology, and policy. I know I just rattled off a long list of ambitions, but I also know that with Dr. Abel and her staff, with this committed board, and with visionary leaders like you who back us and support us, we can make this multi-part mission work. We can serve the people and the prosperity of this region. We can show off its power and potential. It's an exciting time for Southern Maryland. And it's all the more special because we have this unifying vision of how we can build on what we already have. So I look forward to seeing all of you in person this fall and celebrating the future we're making together. Thank you.
Well, I don't think I can add anything to what the chancellor said.
I don't either.
I will say this,
That was great.
I didn't want to steal his thunder. You know, one of the reasons that we're here today is to thank you very specifically for the $1 million contribution that St. Mary's County made to the construction of our building. I know that I can say, I haven't been in, with it for years, that had we not had that contribution and that level and commitment of support from St. Mary's County, this building would not have happened. There's no question about it. So thank you for that. And also, thank you for the support that you've given us over the years, financially and morally. We couldn't have done it without you. You were there from the very beginning in the mid-'90s during the BRACs, and you're still with us today. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Dr. Eileen Abel and Matt Scassero. Dr. Abel is our executive director, and she comes to us from the College of Southern Maryland, where she was the vice president for academic affairs. Eileen will kind of give you the overview of the entire building process, what's going on in there, and also our programmatic ideas. And Matt will specifically talk about our new Matrix Lab, which was an Matrix Lab and research components. The Matrix Lab is absolutely a one-of-a-kind in the world, and I think Matt is a tremendous spokesman for the University Systems of Maryland, Southern Maryland, but also his role as director at the UAS test site. We're right in the middle of the Innovation District, and we're going to do everything we can to make that a success. So, Eileen, please take it away.
Thank you.
Dr. Abel, if I could interrupt you just for a second, I apologize. Commissioner Anderson, you're right about that $1 million. And if anybody needs credit for that, it's Commissioner Todd Morgan. My first term, well, however long ago that was, is he made that motion because we were worried that that building may not take hold. It was at a precarious point where, okay, do we keep it? Do we cut it? Not for us, for you guys, for University of Maryland, for the governor. And it was Todd Morgan's leadership that got this board to say, let's put that $1 million there. Now look, we're all Republicans, and that's not a bad thing. Bottom line is, Todd had the leadership, had the foresight to say, if we put this $1 million there, what's that term? Skin in the game? Mm-hmm. St. Mary's County's committed to this. And for you to say that it helped makes this commissioner who voted for it say, glad. Now, we took our heat from delegation. So that's state stuff. You county guys stay in the county, we'll stay in the state. But it was good leadership. Congratulations, Todd.
Yeah, Joe, I would say I caught a lot of heat over
Thanks, Mike. Appreciate that very much.
And Commissioner Hewitt, it just wouldn't have happened. And, I think one of the best parts of this substantial gift was that it came unsolicited from our board. When I heard that you were going to do this wonderful thing, I was just not amazed, but I was just very, very grateful and a little bit surprised. But,
Well, we felt this fit into the model of our county as the Patuxent Air Test Center became the premier site for test evaluation of aircraft. Everything just sort of fit in. With our airports, we're trying to move on, and this was just something to fit in.
Absolutely.
And I recognize that. Commissioner Morgan really pushed it. He convinced us, at least a couple of us, that it was truly a thing to do. Did we catch a lot of heat from our delegation and senators that time? Yes, we did.
I got to remember, there was a former delegate from Calvert County who has part of a district in St. Mary's County. Mm-hmm. Great man. But boy, did he get red-faced to me in a one-on-one. What did we think?
None of your business. Yeah,
what did we think we were doing? And good news is that building's almost done.
Right.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, and more importantly, that investment will be transformative. I guarantee you.
I agree.
Not today,
There's no doubt.
not tomorrow.
It's economic development as well as this training, and the research that's going to come out of this is unbelievable.
Absolutely.
I'm happy with it.
So, Joe, thank you. And I have to give Joe and the board kudos. I've been in this position since just December, navigating COVID, navigating the new building, which is way out of my comfort zone. But working with partners that I have known in the 6 years that I've been in the Southern Maryland region, I am thoroughly convinced that the new building will allow us to expand the mission as the Chancellor laid out, and also to be one of the hubs of economic development in St. Mary's County. So Matt and I are going to take the occasion today to talk a little bit about the expanded mission in a little bit more detail, and then Matt's going to talk a little bit about the research and collaborative opportunities that we see available to us. If I can ask you to the next slide, please. Great. So we officially joined the University System of Maryland in 2019, some MOUs that were established with the university system and the then Board of Governors, many of whom have stayed over into our Board of Advisors and again have provided very stable and very visionary leadership for the center over the last many years and for the many more years to come. We have 8 partner institutions that offer bachelor's, master's, and PhD programs, for those of you that don't know, anywhere from criminal justice and social services and education, which are some of our primary undergraduate programs, all the way to flight test engineering through Florida Institute of Technology and computer science with the University of Maryland. Our expanded mission, as the Chancellor laid out, is to do 2 things. One, to grow the undergraduate education opportunities in Southern Maryland. So we have St. Mary's College, primarily honors liberal arts college. What the university system institutions do down here is primarily to focus on workforce programs. So trying to look at some labor market need and to embed bachelor's completion programs, master's and PhD that serve the workforce needs. And I'll talk a little bit more about the programs that we're going to try to grow here in the next little bit and explain why. Our signature program, and one of the ones that we're trying to replicate, is the program that we have in conjunction with College of Southern Maryland and the University of Maryland College Park. Engineers come through CSM, graduate from CSM with a degree in engineering, transfer to the University of Maryland College Park, but take all of their courses down at the Regional Higher Ed Center, where they do internships at the base that helps offset the cost of their education. With these internships, they also have the job opportunities on the backside. So what we're trying to do with all of the rest of the bachelor's programs that we're trying to grow is that particular kind of model, because we know our employers in the area are desperate to have experienced and skilled workers coming into the workforce as soon as they're completed their education. So the opportunity, as the Chancellor laid out, to grow internships, work-based opportunities for students so that we can develop those skilled workers and to offset the cost of education, particularly right now because the nation is highly concerned, and rightfully so, for the cost of higher ed and the student debt that becomes incurred in that. So part of my job is to make sure that the regional families understand that the return on investment for taking an education program through USMSM can be offset by these work-based opportunities, by internships, but by high-demand, high-wage careers on the backside of it. So these education programs really do pay off in the long run. You can see in the bottom of the slide here that I'm working on something called 30 by 30. So the Chancellor mentioned that the share of bachelor's completion down in the Southern Maryland region is lower than what we need in our job market. We have about 18% bachelor's completion in the area. Entry-level jobs in this area, about 30% of them require a bachelor's degree. If you'll go to the next slide, please. So you can see here, this is the labor market data that I use to drive the way I work with my university partners to talk about what programs we need to offer down here. So this entire list of 27 is for the entire Southern Maryland region. On the far right side, you can see the demand that's a little bit differentiated specifically for St. Mary's County. So for example, electrical engineers, St. Mary's County is going to grow by 28% in the next 10 years, whereas the region as a whole is only going to grow by 11. So St. Mary's is really driving a lot of these high-tech jobs. We know we need to have engineers. We know we need business analysts. We know we need to have social workers. We need to have educators. And we need to have people who are going into healthcare. So I think what's interesting about this particular table, again, is that it should make everybody encouraged about the opportunities for education and employment in Southern Maryland. This is fairly cheery data driven by the growth in the community that USM-SM can help support. So if you could go to the next slide, please. So this is what the renderings for the new campus looks like. It's going to be completely transformative, and I would be remiss if I didn't tell you right now to mark your calendars for October 15th. You'll be getting formal invitations next week, but our grand opening is going to be on October 15th. It will be a wonderful opportunity for you to see what is actually happening in that building. So the other end of our research mission, of our mission for USMSM, is not just the bachelor's growth and reaching out to underserved and underrepresented communities and providing opportunities for them, but also to embed the research mission that College Park is bringing that will attach the autonomous systems with government, industry, and education to expand the technologies around autonomy and to drive economic development and growth in the area, which again, I think in all of those areas between the human capital and these technology advancements and the ability to ground us very clearly in economic development in the area is proof that your investment mattered and will be transformative for this region. So I'm going to pass the mic to Matt Scassero, who's going to talk a little bit about the larger picture and what we believe the research and technology growth around drones can do for the area. Matt?
Thanks, Dr. Abel. And I can say that part of my job is to actually increase her comfort zone. So working with Dr. Abel has been both a privilege and a pleasure working on this project, but also the more expansive nature of the Aero Park Innovation District, which we'll talk a little bit more about. But as you can see from the slide in front of you, it is truly a game changer for this area. We've created a campus. It is actually the only regional education center in the state of Maryland that has both education and research components to it. So it is really going to be a game changer, not just for our county, but for the state and the entire region and the nation, with our role in the national defense that we have with the Naval Air Station Patuxent River, NSWC Indian Head, and the other facilities in the state of Maryland, all centered around research and development. Next slide, please. So this slide shows very clearly the education and research components that are going to be part of the SMART building as we go forward. A lot of these are built around our partners, and the biggest partner down here obviously is the Navy, as you've mentioned, President Guy. Our Navy partners at the Naval Air Warfare Center Aircraft Division and on the base in its entirety. Pulling those partners together is critically important because they have the expertise but also the demand signal, and they also are one of the attractors of our talent. A big part of our mission is to retain that talent and to give them other paths to be able to use this talent, not just for defense, but also in the civil commercial realms. And the other piece is this will be autonomous technologies and unmanned technologies across all domains: air, ground, surface, subsurface. So we're going to be pulling in new partners like UMCES, the University of Maryland Center for Environmental Studies, and Chesapeake Bay Lab over in Solomons with Dr. Tom Miller and other folks from around our state and around the world. Next slide, please. One of the things that then Dean Pines, my boss, and now President Pines emphasized very heavily is we want to create unique facilities and also facilities that buffer existing facilities that are in high demand. So some of the things you see on this slide, such as the anechoic chamber, which we actually have two of, a very large open air one that's radio frequency sealed, very large open air flight facility, and then a smaller chamber. Those are actually very similar to things that are on the base, but those ones on the base are scheduled for years in advance. So we wanted to have those buffer facilities to offer more capability, but also these unique facilities. Dr. Graham, the new incoming dean that will be here in October, has already been briefed on this project. He is very excited and actually requested another follow-up session to learn even more about it. He's coming up from Georgia Tech and is very excited to be part of this. And we're working diligently to get research filled in, again, with our Navy partners, bringing in interns, students, ESDPs, a lot of the folks that you're familiar with that work on base, getting them in this building and all working together with the Clark School and other institutions. Next slide, please. So the bottom line is, why should you care? It's jobs, it's companies expanding, it's companies spending, being created, it's diversifying our economy to include the defense dollar, but now the civil commercial dollar. The Aero Park Innovation District has been stood up officially as of last week. We actually have joined the Association of University Research Parks, and I'll be leading a panel in Salt Lake City in October talking about drones and innovation parks. So this is very exciting. It pulls together the three primary necessary ingredients: research, education, and investment. We have all three of those today, and that's why we constitute a university research park. Last slide, please. This really is the fulfillment of not only our vision, but a vision that is coming true across the state. The identities of every region of our state are declared by the partners that pull together. And this area is known for its collaborative partnerships, unlike any other place that I've ever been stationed around the world. We're able to get stuff done here. The identities for the autonomy corridor run all the way from Aberdeen, Baltimore, down through College Park, all the way through Indian Head, down here to Southern Maryland, the Naval Air Station, Patuxent River, and now the Aero Park Innovation District. It's all coming true, and it's thanks to your support and the investment of yourselves and the state and the people that are working on this project. And with that, I'll hand it back over to Dr. Abel.
All right, last slide, please. Thank you, Matt. So again, what you can hear here is how this building has the opportunity for us to expand our mission, to provide additional educational opportunities and incredible growth through the research that will be funded by grants, collaborations with Navy, education, and other institutions. So we talk about this building as not just being a building, but as a way to rethink education and to transform not just the community in St. Mary's County, but the region, the state, and the nation. So we thank you for your investment in that. We believe it will pay off tenfold. Thank you.
Very good, thank you.
I think we have some time for questions.
Great. I have just a few comments. Tell me, when you talk about your 30 by 30, your bachelor degrees, great stuff. Is our Board of Education, is our local school system providing you, let's say, the feeder students into your group there?
So two things. One, part of my role is absolutely to make sure that those pipelines work, right? Serving all three counties. I will say that in my position as Vice President of Academic Affairs when I was at the College of Southern Maryland, I had the opportunity to help develop the dual enrollment programs with the high schools where they're taking college-level classes in high school and then consequently can finish their programs earlier. So my goal is to make those pipelines even more robust. And what we're trying to do also with the College of Southern Maryland and the public schools is to make sure students in 8th and 9th grades know exactly what the curriculum is in order for them to plan on coming here from an early age and know exactly what they're going to need, including security clearances and a lot of those programs, so that they can plan on this as a destination early on in their high school career. So that part of our goal, I've got a marketing person now, we're working right now. All three of the superintendents in the three counties that we serve are on my advisory board.
Oh, good.
So they are now really invested in what we do. And how
I
we
should
do
have said Calvert and Charles too, I'm sorry.
No.
But I'm a St. Mary's guy.
it. No, absolutely. So frankly, St.
Now,
Mary's.
if you're doing the right thing, to see Dr. Smith nodding his head yes. So, I mean,
Yeah.
he's on board, and we're grateful for that because we want to see this happen in St. Mary's County for sure, and our fellow counties too. But to provide a background and provide whatever's needed to move these students into this college level is greatly
Absolutely.
appreciated.
So I think one of the things that people may not necessarily know, we don't offer the first 2 years of the bachelor's program. We only offer bachelor's completion programs. So we have to work in close partnership with our with
CSM,
with
whatever.
CSM.
Right.
We're also trying, because we also know the need down here is great. We're hoping to expand some of our outreach to Prince George and to Anne Arundel counties as well to bring transfer students down
As
here.
alumni from St. Mary's College, hopefully they're somehow involved.
So they absolutely are. So Dr. Jordan is also on our advisory board. And again, I think that between CSM, St. Mary's College, and USMSM, we are a very strong face of higher education in Southern Maryland. And my intent is to collaborate with both of them to make sure that the ecosystem for education down here remains robust.
President Murphy from CSM is on our
Also
Board of
our board.
Advisors as well,
Okay.
as our representatives from the major business organizations throughout the region, the Chambers, Patuxent Partnership, Naval Alliance,
Economic development.
Economic Development, yep. So we hope, we know we have a lot of those bases covered, and we're going to be utilizing the strength of those connections to bring, about a program that's going to be unparalleled.
Great. Well, I was in Mako this past week and had an opportunity to talk to some colleagues from the Eastern Shore. And we talked about common challenges, infrastructure, everything that's going on. And the point is that I mentioned to one commissioner from Caroline County that, our average salaries over here in the mid-80s to high 80s, which is quite good in my opinion. And the point was, he said, how do you do it? How do you get, he said, ours are probably in the high 30s to low 40s. But he said, we're mainly agriculture. I said, well, we're big in agriculture too. But we do have a big presence with the naval base, and we have this facility that I think is taking us, I keep calling it the third building, so sorry if I mispronounce
That's all right.
it.
We've been calling it that for 20 years.
Haven't we?
Actually, our official signs say buildings 1, 2, and 3, so.
I know it's got a different name than that, but the point is that I said what we're doing, we're investing in this, and the governor and state have seen this as a quality thing for us, and we're kind of taking the STEM part, the whole part about engineering and technology, and we're trying to attract young people who will come down here as engineers. Obviously, the county needs to keep them here. So I'm going to put a plug in for my but the YMCA idea, that we need to have things for people to do after work, before dinner, and just to make sure that they're happy living here, and we want to help you. So any challenges that you kind of see coming down the road or blips in the screen you think we can help, please help us. And the last thing, I'm sorry to make it personal, but October 15th, my wife and I will be celebrating our 44th wedding anniversary in Mykonos, Greece. So we won't be here.
So we are going to live stream it. You're welcome to join us online.
No. Don't get me wrong. I probably won't do it. But I would like to have a tour of the place, maybe.
Of course.
Absolutely.
Before, sometime late September.
Yeah, and just a couple of things, Commissioner. You mentioned the Eastern Shore. I think in the fall, we're proud to have the University of Maryland Eastern Shore as an academic partner. So we're, we will find those connections and those partnerships wherever we can, not just in the state of Maryland, but throughout the country.
Great. Good. Commissioner, you got anything else?
Commissioner Morgan, just want to make sure you get a chance to weigh in if you'd like.
Commissioner Morgan, are you still on?
He's there somewhere.
Did we lose him?
He's still on, sir. I know.
No, you got
there
me.
he
I'm
is.
trying to.
There you go. Go
I'm
ahead. You got
technology
it.
challenged. Joe, I appreciate everyone attending today. I think it's a great testament to what we're being able to build down here, the complementary strengths between the base, USM, and all the other universities we have down here. I mean, I taught for Dr. Abel, going back to the UMUC, Charles County Community College, St. Mary's, some 20 years of teaching there. So I really recognize all the things that are going on and how great these programs are becoming. So thank you all very much for being here today.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Any other questions, Commissioners?
I'm good.
Well, thank you very much for your presentation
Thank you.
to us. It's very important. And Joe, thank you for all your work you've done all these years.
Yes.
Even though he was a commissioner at one time here, sitting on this side, and all of you done for our county, we appreciate it.
Thank you,
And this is
Commissioner.
just another step forward in advancing our county into this technical world.
Yes.
I'm a low-tech guy in a high-tech world, but I understand. I try to turn my phone on every morning. But
For me both. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you for your help.
Thank you, Commissioners. Next on the agenda is from the Sheriff's Office, a continuation of the School Resource Officer, SRO, and Adequate
Good.
Coverage Program for fiscal year 2022. Ms. Lottie Bell, and I believe Lieutenant Simmons is on the line as well.
Good morning, Commissioner.
Morning, Ms. Bell. How you doing?
Morning.
Yes, Lieutenant Simons is also on the line.
Okay. Good.
So this morning, we're requesting your concurrence on the letter confirming the continuation of the School Resource Officer Adequate Coverage Program for FY22. The amount of the grant funding is $211,566, which is formula-based for 30 schools. In addition, $115,067 in county funding is included in the Sheriff's FY22 budget to cover the remaining salary and fringe needed for the time the two SROs will work in the schools under this grant. A budget amendment will be submitted at the award stage to increase the grant funding, and Lieutenant Simons and I are happy to answer any questions you may have.
Yeah, I had one. The General Assembly last year had a very contentious debate about school resource officers. I totally support them. I totally believe, we're one of the few counties in the state that has the stigmatism of having a child die in the school from a shooting death. And I believe school resource officers are very important. Have you heard anything from people up in, I hate to use the term up the road, but I know it was Montgomery County that I listened to one delegate talk about how you're trying to get him out of it. Have you heard anything new on that?
I personally have not. I will phone a friend to Lieutenant Simons. Have you heard anything, Lieutenant Simons?
Hi, good morning, everyone. Good morning, commissioners. I have not heard anything specifically with our neighboring jurisdictions where that would pose a risk of the SROs coming out of the schools. As you know, St. Mary's County is a bit unique in that we have citizens that are very supportive of county government, the school system, the sheriff's office, state police. So very fortunate that way. But no, I have not heard any chatter, and I have not heard any, personally heard any opposition from anybody within the county that would oppose to having school resource officers within the schools.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Lieutenant.
All right. Well, I move to approve the letter confirming the continuation of the FY 2021 School Resource Officer Adequate Coverage Program for FY 2022, Project MD 2215, from the Maryland Center for School Safety in the amount of $211,566, excluding county funds, and authorize Commissioner President to execute the related documents and staff to submit all electronically.
Second.
I have a first and second. All in favor? Aye. Ayes have it. Thank you.
Aye.
Okay, thank you, Todd.
Thank you, Commissioners. And next is also from the Sheriff's Office, the Equitable Sharing Agreement and Certification for fiscal year 2021. Again, Ms. Bell, and this time Lieutenant Evans is on Zoom.
So the annual certification report before you today is a summary of the equitable sharing activity for the fiscal year ended June 30, 2021. As shown on the report, no federally forfeited funds were received or expended in FY21. Your approval is requested so the report may be submitted to the Department of Justice and the Treasury Department in accordance with our equitable sharing agreement. Lieutenant Evans and I are happy to answer any questions if you have any.
Yeah, I had just a couple quick ones. Now, this comes from if someone's, say, raided and they have drugs or whatever illegal contraband they may have, and there's cash or something. This is money that's collected in that regard?
Federally forfeited funds, yes.
Okay, well, I know we have the feds down here with this gun task force, or I'm not sure exactly what their role is. I've just heard that we brought them in so this funding is funding that comes specifically from the federal government?
Yes, it's seized through federally forfeited funds. It seized through the equitable sharing program.
It's kinda
but
confusing.
I will phone a friend to Lieutenant Evans to speak more about that because I'm not exactly
Because
sure.
do we have like local is what I'm asking you.
We do have local also, yes. This is not local. This is
I got it. So it's two different pots of money.
Exactly, yes, sir.
Okay, all right.
Okay. Well, I move to approve the annual equitable sharing agreement and certification for FY 2021 from the Department of Justice and Department of Treasury on behalf of the St. Mary's County Sheriff's Office, and authorize the Commissioner President to execute the related documents and Sheriff's Office staff to submit electronically.
Second.
I have a first and second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Commissioners. Thank you, Ms. Bell. Next, you have Mr. Michael Blackwell from the St. Mary's County Public Library to give the semi-annual brief, and I believe he also has Board of Trustees on Zoom as well, and it's probably best if he would introduce them.
Good morning, and thank you so much for the opportunity to present here. From our Board of Trustees online, I see Dr. Janice Walthour. Welcome, Dr. Walthour. The other members weren't able to join us, but we have a number of our staff who are also watching. So Belinda, Amy, AM, thanks for joining us this morning. Also here is Deputy Director Mary Ann Bowman, who is back here. Mary Ann, you just going to let me
And I believe she was at Mako last week,
She
in which
was
I
at
learned
Mako.
that she's the president of the Maryland Library Association.
She is the president of the Maryland Library Association. I was
We
going
didn't
to
know
mention
that
that
until
later,
she
but we might as well talk about it now. St. Mary's County Library, use whatever sports metaphor you want, swings a big bat, punches above its weight class. I'll talk in a couple minutes about how we're contributing not only at a state, but even a national level right here in St. Mary's County. So again, thank you for the opportunity to present to you. I last presented to you in early February, and we'll try to concentrate on what's happened since then, but we did release a fiscal year annual report, and so we're going to take a look at some of that right now. Unfortunately, COVID continues to be a concern for us. But in response to that, and if we could go down a slide here. That's just fine, thanks. We created a number of new services, and we've continued offering those. So we have curbside or drive through the New Leonardtown Library. We have grab bags. You just call us up and say, I'd like a cozy mystery, and we'll pick out 10, 15 items for you, DVDs, books, whatever you want, and you take them home and you get to see, oh, well, here's what we got. Proven really popular, especially among young kids. The parents can just swing on by and get a lot of books without even having to get out of their car. I'm happy to report to you that our curbside has dropped off, and that's because we have reestablished our full hours. We have been a leader in Maryland in aggressively but safety reopening our facilities despite the pandemic. So when I last talked to you, we were open, but we were restricting the number of people in the building with the county health recommendations in mind. But in March, we stopped that, and in May, we completely went back to our original hours. We now have our meeting rooms open, and so the only thing we haven't put back into place yet is in-person inside programming. We're doing programming for all ages outside, but then we've also really increased the number of virtual programs we're offering, and we're finding that in some cases those are even more successful than in person. We've had 500 or 600 people do an author visit, over 100 people do some art classes, so we're going to be taking a look moving forward at what's just the best way and learn from the pandemic.
My sons enjoyed some of your virtual programs.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you. Just to compare to some libraries close to us, just this last week, Calvert went back to its full hours. Only in July did Charles County even open its buildings, other than by appointment. So we've been open as much as any library in the entire state, and we've done that safely. I'd like to thank the county health department and the county nurse who's helped us to establish a really safe space. We've got air filters. We've not had any transmission that we know of. One staff member, unfortunately, but that staff member is doing fine now, had the COVID. So we think that we're offering as safe a facility as we can while maintaining services during this very difficult time. One bright spot, our digital use did go up by 23%. That's ebooks, audiobooks, things like that. I think it would have gone up even more, except that those are very expensive things, and I'll talk about that for a second. So it's sometimes hard for us to meet the demand, but that's a bright spot. People have discovered our online sources. Down a little bit, if you would, on the slide. So we checked out, in total last year, 767,430 items. It's about 6.8 items per every adult and child in the county. And if you figure each item costs about $15, that saved the county consumers over $11 million, stuff that they pay out of pocket. Some of those are just renewals, but let's say at least $5 million we've saved the consumers in Maryland. And libraries are a real bargain. We spend about $400,000 a year on materials and give a great return for that. That's only about half our usual usage, though, and so obviously COVID has had its effect, unfortunately. We do offer a wide suite of other things. So if you want to do language learning, if you want to do online crafting, If you want to try to increase your technical skills, we've got databases that will help you do that. We do offer a free, fine-free card to every St. Mary's County Public School student. And so they can get online and use those resources, and it greatly increases their ability to do some online learning and support their schooling. So we're very happy to have that partnership. Down a little bit if we could. And this talks a little about our user visits. We had 80,000 user visits, and COVID is clearly showing its effect here. That's typically have well over 500,000. But we did see a large increase in our number of virtual attendance, and we had many, many curbside appointments as well. I'm happy to report that right now we're starting to see a large uptick in in-person attendance, and our busiest locations are starting to get about 500 a day again, and we could usually do 1,000, but so people are being careful, but they're coming back to the library, and if you are out there in the public, I encourage you to come on back. We are offering a safe location to you. And I want to thank you and Bob and IT in the county. You've extended our Wi-Fi throughout our parking lots. And when it's not quite so hot outside, we see families come in and just sit in their car or sit outside the library in some comfortable seating and enjoy using the Wi-Fi. We've launched an app that allows people to access their accounts on their own devices. And you can even check things out using your smartphone or your tablet, and that way people don't have to put their hands on sort of public equipment. So it's not only convenient, but it's contributing to safety. Down just a little bit if we could. And a little bit more. Heavy Wi-Fi use, yes. 48,000 plus card users, and so that's what, about 40% of the county, 42% of the county. Good market penetration there. Down a little bit more. And I'm skipping a lot of wonderful public comments, but there in the background you see the New Leonardtown Library, which it was open the last time I presented to you. Just want to report to you that we continue to get kudos for that. Everybody who comes in says, this is just an amazing place. So you could all be very proud that you've got your names on that building there with the Garvey Senior Activity Center. I think it's just a real showcase for the county and a beautiful, beautiful facility. So thank you very much for supporting us with that. I should point out that a similar sized facility, just the library portion alone, up in some other counties, we're paying $4 million less than we did for that. So while, yes, this is an expensive facility, and thank you for your great support for that, this is a bargain compared to a similar sized library in, say, up in Laurel, Maryland. Just a couple of notes about the pandemic. We did work with community partners to try to spread awareness of this. We fielded over 1,500 phone calls seeking information about it, and we helped over 400 people register for the vaccination. So we were in partnership with the health department there. It's been a real challenge for us. COVID has well, it hasn't necessarily directly affected our staff. Obviously, there's been a lot of concern about it. Since last August, we've had about 30% staff turnover. But we have continued to hire and move forward and continue to give great services. You know, people who are a little bit older have said, you know, well, I've got other priorities now. We do serve as an incubator for talent. People come to us, get a couple years in, and then go work for the base. Unfortunately, we can't really compete with that kind of a salary now, can we? But we are helping people grow in their careers as well. So we're a fine community center, and we continue to give great services and a great return on your investment. move on just a little bit past our presentation there. Those of you who are watching online, you can see our full annual report for the last fiscal year from our website, and do take a look at it. Talk about a couple of other things that we're doing and more future-oriented than here's where we've been. And the first, when I last presented to you, I talked about Senate Bill 432, which was a law that was requiring publishers who put out ebooks and digital audiobooks to consumers in Maryland to also provide them to libraries. And there were a number of large companies, Amazon included, who were not doing that. I'm happy to report to you that that bill has become law. And I'm going to swagger a bit. That was my idea. And I helped draft the legislation and provide the talking points, and I was its main cheerleader. It can be a little bit daunting. What are you doing today, Michael? I'm going to support legislation that calls out the richest company in the whole wide world and tell them they need to support libraries. I'm delighted to report to you that Amazon has responded, and as of September, we'll be able to start making unique content from them. Some other major publishers who are not working with libraries have. We are, however, going to continue our efforts. The Maryland Library Association, and thank you, Mary Ann, has released a statement that, yes, I helped write, that will ask for better pricing terms. We can get a hardback for about $15, $17. We get to keep it as long as that book stays together. For a digital ebook, a typical term is $60 per title, and at the end of 2 years, it's gone. You don't get to keep it. Now, I should say that there is opposition to this. The Association of American Publishers, which is a lobbyist for the publishers located in D.C., attacked our bill. We got it passed without a single negative vote anyway. They have recently asked the United States Senate, its Judiciary Committee, to ask the Copyright Office to invalidate the bill. Well, the Copyright Office can't do that. We think they're just trying to chill this legislation, which is now in line to be passed in 2 other states, with several other states getting interested. We think we're right. We don't think this is a violation of copyright, that if a publisher makes a copy available to a citizen in Maryland, library should have the same access. So we're going to continue that fight, and we may not get those better prices, but at least you know that we in Maryland, and in St. Mary's County in particular, are doing our best to give a good deal to our taxpayers in Maryland. And the other thing I'd like to talk about is we applied for a grant with ARPA funds, and thank you for the Institute of Museum and Library Services for offering extra money, ARPA money, to libraries this year to get a mobile library. Any of you use a bookmobile when you were younger? Or is it just me who's old?
Used to be.
Yeah.
Bookmobile.
A bookmobile, yeah.
Right.
So my first memory of a library is walking on this thing, a bus, and you could pick out a book there, and it was right in my front yard. So a mobile library is the same thing, only more. It has its own collection, and you can walk right on and check out a book or a DVD. It also has 2 workstations as we've planned it. It offers Wi-Fi, so you can drive it into a community and people can simply pull up there and they can connect to the Wi-Fi right there. It has a handicap lift, and we got letters of support from the Health Department and from the Department of Social Services and from the NAACP, all of whom were making plans to do joint programming. And yes, we got a grant, $250,000.
Wow.
That's great news.
Great news.
So it may not cover quite all the cost of this vehicle, which would be about 28 feet long, roughly the size of the mobile jobs van. But we're working with our friends in our foundation to make up any cost shortfall there. So where do you come in here? And the answer is, to make this sustainable, we're going to have some additional staffing for the vehicle. It will take about 15 months to get it together. We've already got an RFP out there, but it takes a while. It's a custom vehicle to get it done. So I'm already going to be asking you and to think about, and I know you can't promise me anything today, but for next fiscal year, when we go through the budget cycle, if the budget doesn't look too bad, if you'll consider giving us some additional FTEs to support that. So the vehicle will go out into daycares. It will go to senior facilities. It can go to more far-flung neighborhoods, think Colton's Point, Scotland Ridge, Tall Timbers, where children might find it difficult to access the library's, physical buildings. Go into neighborhoods where there might not be as much people connected to broadband and just say, come on out, we'll have a schedule. And this is a great way to extend library services out to people who have a harder time reaching our buildings. So I'm hoping that when the time comes, you'll consider supporting our request for that. And that's kind of what I've got for you today. So any questions?
You were tell you my daughter. Well, here's what I'll say to you. I always believe education is the key to success, but the key to education, the success of education, is reading. Being able to read and comprehend makes education easier, makes learning easier. We've been reading to our grandchildren since they were 1 week old. Now, the ones their oldest is 9. She reads 200- and 300-page books now. Of course, they're, Nancy Drew or something that's in her range as she enters the 4th grade. But our 4-year-old granddaughters also read. My daughter goes to your facility in Leonardtown multiple times. She was a little sad when you were closed and couldn't get in, but she used your curbside service. And she picks up, exchanges, 10, 12 books every week, 2 weeks, something like that. You're doing a good job, sir. Thank you.
Well, we call that a power user, and thank you for supporting the literacy, because you're absolutely right. It's essential from an early age, and we've got a program, 500 Before 5, where we're trying to inculcate that sense of the importance of reading. The more you read with, the more you talk with a young child, the better prepared they are for a success later. It literally builds brain synapses that allows people to succeed more in school. So what you're doing with your grandkids is just vitally important. And the library, we're great partners with the school, but even before the schools, we've got programs where we're reaching young kids and trying to reach parents and inculcate that huge sense of the importance of reading. Thank you.
Yeah. I know my wife appreciates, she checks out a lot of, especially the e-books. She reads a lot using her.
Well, we're working to make sure she's got an even wider selection.
Did you finish in the sailing for the Governor's Cup?
Our boat finished 3rd overall on the Potomac leg and 2nd in our class. Wow. And it was a fun night. Pretty good wind, and everybody got in a lot earlier than they did last time we held the cup.
My wife and I were on the Dove checking you guys in from 3 in the morning until 7 in the morning. That was our shift.
Well, you saw us
most of the boats came in during that time period.
You saw us come by about 3:45, and I think we slept till 7. And then
we were there. We were there checking you in.
Yeah, it was a really good day.
Well, great.
Yeah.
So just to echo, great work on that. My son's doing the 500 Before 5, and he's getting ready to turn 4, and he's well into 400 books. So we've been reading a lot.
He's got it made.
And my wife and my son have been enjoying the scavenger hunt for the words in the parks that I believe is through the library. So they're really enjoying that. I did have one question. Commissioner Morgan and I had some constituents reach out to us regarding mandatory training that the library is conducting that they feel is violating their personal beliefs. And I don't really know the details about it, but I was just wondering if you could clarify.
Mandatory training?
Yeah, some kind of employee training that they feel is violating their personal beliefs. And I really haven't had the conversation to get the details.
Oh, okay. We asked all our employees to take a course, it's online, in equity, diversity, and inclusion.
Okay.
And like you, we've, on your website, we just have a statement. And I wouldn't say that violates anybody's rights. It simply gets our people thinking about how best to serve everybody in our community.
Okay.
And we do ask our staff to complete that, but we also listen to people who, and I have had conversations with our employees who come forward and say, I'd like to talk to you about that. And so we do, and it's just an opportunity for opening up a conversation with our employees. I am asked every year by our county commissioners, by our trustees to report back on how we reflect the population as a whole in St. Mary's. And so we're doing a pretty good job of promoting inclusion, but I don't say anybody, nobody out in the public is being exposed to that. We're completely politically neutral.
Okay.
Well, Mr. Blackwell, let me follow on with Commissioner Colvin. So is this training mandatory for the employee?
Yes, we ask everybody, all the employees, to take the training. But
and if they don't?
Well, we're not going to do anything about that. We simply ask it. And so far, none of our employees have come forward and said, I don't want to take the training. Some of them have said, and I've just discussed that, I'd like to talk to you about it. And I've listened carefully to those concerns, and we validate them. People are allowed to speak their own opinion to us. We're not enforcing anybody to follow a political line. Libraries aren't about that at all. So yes, we ask our employees to complete it. So far, nobody has said, I don't want to, or not done it. If somebody did say that, I would listen to them.
Well, as I said, as Commissioner Colvin pointed out, we are both hearing it. Now, you also brought up the point that, in library, programs have been sort of stopped. This means, the commissioners always take a lot of heat when the library decides they want to do a few things. So are we expecting that we will become, again, a controversial location in the future?
Well, I'd like to point out that nothing that you've had an issue with has been a library program. Those have been uses of our meeting room, and I don't really want to revisit that much because it's not a particularly happy memory for me. But you'll recall that the Attorney General of Maryland has weighed in on the uses of library meeting rooms. We have to make them available to all. I will say that since then, we've made a change in our meeting room policy. And now, if you have a meeting in the library, it has to be open to the public. Now, there's a reasonable expectation of privacy. If you're going to meet, somebody for a business deal, and somebody comes in the meeting, you can say, we've got this room reserved. Could you please give us some space? But for a public program, if you're going to have it at the library, it has to be open to the public. So we put that change into effect and made the use of all our meeting rooms totally free. It used to be you could reserve one as a citizen and say, all right, this is my space, my private space now. You can't do that anymore. So I will say that confidently you may expect that the kind of program that did create controversy, the library is not going to be sponsoring that.
So you aren't going to be a center of controversy then?
I don't ever want to be a center of controversy. At the same time, we have to respect the rights of everybody in the county to use the meeting rooms. So we cannot say you can't have this here if it's a legitimate organization. So we are not expecting it, and no, our programming should not be promoting that. The library strives to be politically neutral. We want to serve everybody in the county fairly and allow all voices to be heard. And sometimes that's going to create controversy. Somebody might have the meeting room and somebody else doesn't like that organization. The library's stand is that as long as it's a legitimate community organization, and yes, people might disagree about what legitimate is that we in the library, and again, the Maryland Attorney General has made this pretty clear, have to support that. If we discriminate on the use of our meeting room based on politics or something else like that, we could open ourselves up to a large lawsuit. And yes, libraries have lost lawsuits over that, including a library who wasn't allowing religious organizations to have prayer meetings or church meetings. They said no, and they were sued, and they lost, and they should have. We support everybody's right to use the library.
Great, thank you.
That said, we recognize the community that we're in, and that we hope that people will always feel free to express what they think about the library, and we'll listen. It's just that on certain things, there's no give for us. We have to be responsible and respect everybody's right for free use of the library.
And we do too as commissioners.
Any other questions, Commissioners? Anybody else? No.
Well, it remains for me to thank you for your great support of the library, and again, I hope that you come on out to the Leonardtown Library and look at your names on that and say, "Pa!"
Most important part of our community, Mr. Blackwell.
There we go.
We appreciate everything you're doing to make it successful.
Well, thank you so much, everybody, and I really appreciate the opportunity to be here.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Come to your library, everybody. Oh, quick note. We were supporting the NAACP at its recent back-to-school fair. There's some book bags with school supplies left over. Come to your library and get one if you needed some. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners. Next is the Department of Economic Development with a grant agreement for online telework relief funds from the state of Maryland under the Federal American Recovery Act. Director Chris Casalemas presenting.
Thank you, Mr. Weiskopf. Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning, Mr. Casalemas.
We are getting more grant money. Today, we're asking Commissioners to sign a grant agreement from the state of Maryland and approve a budget amendment. The state has made funds available to counties under the Federal American Recovery Act. The Department of Commerce will provide $94,874 for St. Mary's County to provide grants to assist businesses in setting up online sales, framework, and offering employees telework opportunities. We've worked with our IT department, and they have created an online application for us. For these grants, DED proposes awarding 19 grants of $4,993. We're trying to get to the $5,000 level. To be eligible under the grant, under this program, an applicant must first have been established prior to March 9th of 2020, be registered and in good standing with the state of Maryland, currently in operation, have a physical location within St. Mary's County, and also priority will be given to businesses that have 20 or fewer employees, and priority will be given to those who have not already received a state grant. So we're all ready to go. We will open up the application portal on September 1st, and all funds must be dispersed by December 31st of 2021.
Tell me, Mr. Casalemas, so if people, small businesses do not have an online presence already, you're looking for them first?
Absolutely, right.
If they have an online presence that maybe could be better, do you offer some kind of assistance to help them make it better, to make maximum use of this grant if they are able to get it?
Well, we can provide some advice if they're looking for that. I mean, the idea is that they would, whatever they need to do to provide better online sales, if they need a more robust website or whatever they need to do, they can use the funds for this. For telework, if they need to provide computers for their employees. And it can be stuff that they've already done, they want to get reimbursed for, or stuff that they're planning on doing. But
I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, go ahead.
I guess my point is, coming from small business, websites are very important.
Yeah.
But a lot of people work too hard to, put up the website. They put it out there, and they hope it works, and if it don't work, they're really hoping the quality of their product brings the people in.
Right.
But this web thing is a good thing. I agree. We heard about Mako, where it used to be location, location, location.
Right.
Now it's like website, website, website.
Right.
So that's a great plug. But I do know some people who are challenged, per se, in either finding the expertise, or they don't have them themselves, or finding people who have the expertise. They may have a relative who knows how to do this, and they know a person who knows, that type of thing. And it would be interesting or it would be good if we could set up some kind of way to say, hey, look, if you get this grant, you can get this professional who does this thing for whatever amount to look at your website and make it more effective. Is that the type of thing they can do?
Well, we don't really recommend, I mean, there are consultants out there who can help set up websites, or people do this as a business. We don't really have, we're not going to recommend a specific company. We may have a list of some companies who do this kind
I'm
of
sorry,
service.
I'm interrupting you now. I apologize. My point is, can they go out and use this money to go out and find somebody? Not that we're recommending, but they can get this money, because I know two people I'm going to recommend apply for this grant.
Yeah.
Because they got a great product. They're frustrated with their website because they just don't know enough about how to make it more effective.
Yeah.
But if they had some, hate to say free money, if they had some grant money that allowed them to hire somebody that could make their website effective, I think their business would be more effective.
So yes, Commissioner Hewitt, this is exactly what this is for. If they want to go out and hire somebody to help them set up online sales, that's exactly what they can use this money for.
Okay. Well, I'm going to move to approve the budget amendment, reducing the appropriation reserves by $94,874, and the modification to grant agreement to accept $94,874 from the state of Maryland under the Federal American Recovery Act for online sales and telework grants, and authorize the Commissioner President to sign all related documents.
Second discussion. One quick question. Kind of the irony of the situation is that this is to help people with their online presence, but it's an online application to do it. If they need help with it, can they come to you, or can they come to the county office to fill out the application? Is there a way to help facilitate applying for it if there's somebody like Commissioner Hewitt talks about that doesn't have a web presence?
Commissioner Colvin, we are only accepting online application, but we'll walk people through that step by step, so they can call our office and call Kelly Hinkle, our deputy director, and we'll go through them step by step, as long as they get to a computer, and they can even come in.
We just talked to the library. They've got computers. They can use a computer at the library.
They can get us on the line, and we'll go through step by step, and it's a very, very easy process.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Very good. Okay, I have a first and second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it.
Thank you,
Commissioner.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners. Next is from the Department of Emergency Services regarding a 911 board grant submission, and Director Stephen Walker.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning, Mr. Walker.
So this is an exciting venture to bring to you. It truly is. So in July of 2018, Mr. Mattingly was appointed training coordinator. He's done an outstanding job, really brought our training program into a very efficient and robust system. One of the things he set his eyes on is this training program. It is the 911 Center Matter Manager Certification Program. It's really a very highly coveted and high demand program. It's very hard to get needed to bring that to our community. But he's been very diligent. He's been working very hard and done a lot of different things and working with them, identifying a location, all that. This really, and to quote a phrase I heard this morning, education is the key to success. So I heard that this morning, outstanding. This program is building future leaders. It truly is. It teaches people that attend this budgeting, leadership, organizational, presentation skills. I attended this shortly after I became employed here in St. Mary's County. Outstanding class. It's grant money. We have received tentative approval from the 911 board that they will pay for this. What we will do is we will put as many of our staff in this class, and then we will open this up to the state from the other 911 centers, and we will bring them in. We've already reserved a space at the riverfront facility at the golf course. Perfect place for this. I'm very excited about it, and I ask you to approve our request to take this to the 911 board.
Mr. Walker, I had one quick question. The 30,000, do you have a number of people you can put in? I mean, do you have a limit? That's what probably better.
I think it's 30, if I recall.
Okay,
30,
so you can put that many in?
Right, Mr. Mangley's on the line if you'd like to ask him any questions about it. Again,
Well, I mean, you're not just sending one, right?
Oh, no, we're going to be sending quite a bit, as many as I can get in there. And there might be other people in the building that will benefit all these other skills that we'll be putting them in there. We get the first crack, and then we open up to anybody else in the state. So, and we will get quite a bit of people. Again, I attended it 3.5, 4 years ago. Outstanding class, and again, I'm very excited about it. And I really commend Mr. Mattingly for his diligent work on this. again, he was just on them over and over, and they finally relented and they agreed to do it. And I think this will be the first time in the Southern Maryland area to have this, so very excited about it.
Very good.
Well, great work. Great work, Jay. This is a good thing. So I move to approve the Department of Emergency Services to submit a grant request to the 911 Board to fund the 911 Center Manager Certification Training Program for $30,000 and authorize Commissioner President to sign all related documents.
Second.
I have a first and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it.
Very much.
Thank you, Commissioners. Thank you, Mr. Walker. Next is the Department of Public Works and Transportation, a DNR grant application from the Waterway Improvement Fund for St. George's Creek Maintenance Dredge.
Thank you very much. This is good news. I'm really glad to bring it before you. It's a real tribute, I think, to the partnerships that have been established between DPW&T employees and funding agencies. In this case, of course, it was Zane Retstadt that made himself available whenever DNR calls, and in this case, DNR did call when they did the bathymetric survey, which is an ongoing program to check the federal channels, make sure that they're open the way they're supposed to be. And they alerted Zane to the fact that the one for St. George's Creek that goes under the bridge at 249 was shoaling up. And there are a number of benefits to this. First of all, just to the boating public, they'll be able to use that channel with more confidence, use the boating ramp that state has at that location with more confidence. They're not going to ground out. But it also means that that sand is going to be available for other projects that Zane, Margaret Oliver, a couple other people have going down in that area. For example, Piney Point Museum, that project, try to build greater coastal resiliency. Also, Piney Point Road, our road, the county road that we're working on right now, that project will need sand. And also the state, I've alerted the state to the possibility that this could help them with their 249 project, and got a positive response back on that. Part of it is just they need more sand that they can use on site, and it has to be disposed somewhere. So at any rate, it's a good news story. And because, of course, we have to have a growing program of coastal resiliency.
I'm bleeding because of you.
Sorry?
What was that, Todd?
Nothing, I apologize.
It's all right. Zane, is there anything you'd like to add to this about timeframes or, how you see this progressing?
Sure. Commissioner, good morning. You'll see in your memo that was in the package what we're time-wise, if the grant is approved in May, then we could conceivably award a design permit services somewhere in mid-July with a completion of the permit and submission by December of 2022, next year. And then we could conceivably be dredging this thing in June of 2023, which is a pretty quick turnaround. But I think, as Mr. Dietrich pointed out, DNR, one of the good things they do is they do these bathymetric surveys throughout the state. And when they do the ones in St. Mary's, they send them to us, and we keep those filed away. So it gives us a baseline for each creek. But it's a good grant. I'm pretty confident that we'll get it. And DNR has been a great partner with our department for the past 20 years. So I'm looking forward to getting this project started.
Mr.
Zane, I
Rainset.
will sit there.
Oh, go ahead, Todd.
Thanks, Mike. Zane, I want to say thank you for this because, between St. Jerome's Creek and St. Patrick's Creek, there's a lot of movement finally going on to get those things dredged to help our watermen and anybody enjoying the water out there. So thank you. Good job. I mean, sorry it takes this long to get there, but at least we're making progress.
Thank you.
Mr. Dietrich and Mr. Rainstead. And Zane, you're doing a great job, buddy. I appreciate all the effort you put into this. When we were at MDOT, or when we were at MACO last week, we met with MDOT, and we talked about the Route 249 area down there that has the erosion going on. Now, property owners down there have talked about that their beach, which was a beach at one time, is gone. It's just eroded away. This would be an ideal place because the MDOT people did talk about how a design has been done for that 249 area where they have the revetment out there, and they'll need to bring sand in. And it would be an ideal time to, if we can ever put that project together, to have them be able to come, or have that sand be able to come just a little bit down, fill that beach back in, give that replenishment to kill that, I shouldn't say kill, sorry, diminish.
Stop the diminishing.
That wave action. Diminish that wave action that continues to erode that. Now, they did say that they may be able to identify funding somewhere in the budget, but it's been tough. But there may potentially be this infrastructure funding. Now, we're very lucky to have Mr. Sean Powell up there because he knows St. Mary's County. Mm-hmm. He's the deputy director. And well, I asked him, I said, please, we have 200 people down there that will be impacted safety if that washes through with a hurricane. Right now, during a high tide, they go through 4 inches or so of water to get out. This would be an ideal, as they call it, spoil? Is that what they call it? Stuff that comes out of a dredge site, that sand, or whatever they call it. That material that comes out of a dredge site. It would just be a little bit down the way. They could even probably set up some kind of a pumping station to pump that, to fill that area in that's so experiencing so much erosion.
Yep. Yeah, one of the worst locations is right by the bridge.
It's even worse?
So you could hydraulically dredge that.
Okay.
Yeah,
Keep
that's...
that other site in mind.
Right. Yep, will do.
Any other question, Commissioners? No. Need a motion.
I move to approve the DNR Waterway Improvement Grant request in the amount of $540,000 from the Maryland DNR Center for Waterway Improvement for the St. George Creek Federal Navigation Channel Maintenance Dredge and authorize the Commissioner President to electronically sign all related documents.
Second.
I have a first and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye?
Aye.
Ayes have it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Dietrich. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners, and that concludes County Administrator time.
Oh, my gosh. We're done already, okay. Well, we'll go right into Commissioner time, and let's see. Well, Todd's online. We'll start with you, Todd.
Thank you, Mr. President. Last week, I talked a little about the parks and discussed Nicollet Park, and I said I would continue that conversation, and I am. So the other side of Great Mills Road on Willows Road is another great park for everyone to use, and that is Lancaster Park and also the new Passive Park. We've invested a lot of money in Lancaster Park to put in turf fields, to have numerous events down there. Just like a couple weeks ago, we had the NAACP with the books, our back to school backpacks. We're working hard on getting the Passive Park up to date, getting the roads completed. UCAC was using one of the old flat top homes as a site. We have the memorial back there. And I think, again, another thing that the folks in the county just don't see is all the good things going on in that park also. I think when the Passive Park gets done, if you go back to Governor Ehrlich's days, that was the largest community development block grant, I think, in the state of Maryland. We have walk parks. We have a beautiful lined cherry trees in the spring. We have Frisbee golf. And then it all connects to another set of very accommodating walking paths to Lancaster Park. And we're also working diligently now with the Navy to be able to expand and continue the lease agreement that we have with them, which I would hope would be able to get completed before my term is done. And that way I can feel good for the next 10, 15, 20 years that that park and the amenities that it provides will continue to be available for not only the citizens, but the Navy folks, etc. The young kids who want to play football, soccer, lacrosse, all the things back there. And there's even a dog park back there. Folks, if you haven't been back there, you want to walk your dogs, we have a nice, beautiful dog park way in the backside. So I think, like I said, many people think that Lexington Park has sort of been forgotten for amenities. But quite frankly, there's a lot of things to do in Lexington Park, and I'm glad we can be working together with the community and also with our various departments to continue to provide a lot of good things back there for everyone to be able to use. And I know that I'm away today, so I will conclude with that. So thank you.
Thank you. Eric.
All right, so I got a couple things I want to talk about this morning. First off, I just want to offer my best wishes to all the children and teachers who are returning to school. I know our public schools start back up this coming Monday. Some of our private schools have started up today, might have already started. I know Chesapeake Public Charter Schools already started up a couple weeks ago. So hope you all have a great school year. I hope it's a better school year than last year. And a special congratulations to my youngest sister, who is starting off her career as an elementary school teacher in our school system this year. So good luck to you, Carly, and I hope you have a lot of fun teaching. Next, last week we were at the MACO conference, and it was a really good conference. It was good to be able to be back together with elected officials from all around the state, with a lot of different county employees from all around the state. And for everyone watching, you should be extremely proud of your county government. The people who are working here do a phenomenal job, and there was representation from a lot of different departments out there at MACO. There was people out there learning a lot, choosing to better themselves so that they can serve the citizens better. And it was very interesting, a lot of the stuff. I want to give a special shout out to the people who are working the booth. Each county has a different booth in the exhibition hall there, and there's a ton of vendors. It's a huge trade show, but each county has a booth, and our St. Mary's County booth was themed with a big blue ribbon. It was the first in Maryland because we're the first place settlers landed in Maryland, the start of Maryland, and it was a really great booth. So thank you to Andrew Pani from the museum division and to Mary Wagner from Visit St. Mary's for staffing the booth. You all did a great job. We had a phenomenal looking booth. Another county had a booth that had a rabbit in there, a live rabbit, but my favorite booth, other than the St. Mary's County booth, was the Caroline County booth. Now, a couple weeks ago, we had a MACO presentation in the afternoon here with Michael Sanderson, the director of MACO, and Wilbur Levengood, the commissioner-president from Caroline County. Now, the Caroline County booth had a cutout of Mr. Levengood, and you could get your picture taken with him, but even better than that, they were giving away white chocolate mustaches. So you could have your white chocolate Wilbur Levengood mustache. And I was like, that is hilarious, creative. I loved it. It was phenomenal. For the other commissioners, Commissioner Guy and I were able to attend a session on the American Rescue Plan funds. I think it was on Saturday, the last day. Very informative session, very interesting. One of the things I love about the MACO conference is that we get to hear the best practices from around the state and around the country, and we get to hear that none of the issues that we deal with are we the only ones dealing with them. Every county's dealing with issues similar to ours. They're going through the same things, and every county's getting these millions of dollars of funds, and we're all trying to figure out how to use them, how to make use of them. Right now, the Treasury Department has only put out their interim final guidance, and we had a presentation there from a National Association of Counties, NACO representative who's in constant contact with the Treasury Department. He said it's very rare that they do this interim final guidance, but when the final guidance does come out, everything he's heard, everything he's expecting, it will not be more restrictive in the use of the funds. It may be less restrictive, but it won't be more restrictive. Also interesting, the money that we got $22 million or so. We can put that in an interest-bearing account right now until we're using that money, and whatever interest we earn on it is not bound by the restrictions. We can use that interest however we'd like. It was very interesting to hear this, and they had some recommendations on how to make use of the money, especially don't rush to spend it, be very intentional, be very thoughtful in how we use it, because we've got time to spend it, and then don't use it for recurring things, obviously, because it's not going to be recurring funds. So very good presentation, very interesting. Finally, there's a lot of stuff going on around the county. Hollywood Carnival, it's a great time. It's one of the few remaining carnivals in the county, that and Ridge. Their carnival's going to be coming up in a little bit. If you haven't been out to the Hollywood Carnival this past weekend, you've got one weekend left, so make sure you get out to that. And the Crab Fest this Saturday, I hope to see you there. Everybody have a great week and stay cool. Thank you.
Thank you. Mike. Thank you, Commissioner President Guy. There's a term that people use a lot, and it says, everybody's different. And that's a good thing, because it wouldn't be good in the world if everybody was the same. It's important to be different or do what you think is the right thing to do for whatever you're doing it for. Last week at Mako, it was an excellent conference. I didn't get to attend Saturday. My niece had her bridal shower, and my wife attended. I don't do bridal showers. Sorry, I know they're co-ed these days or whatever, but I just don't do bridal showers. So we came back late Friday afternoon. But while we were there, I have to say it was a very interesting conference. I had meetings with Department of the Environment, Secretary Grumbles, Department of Health, Mr. Schrader, Secretary Schrader, MDOT, Deputy Secretary Sean Powell, also with the Public Service Commission. All important things to St. Mary's County, important things to our residents, to our constituents. Now, some people thought it was, important to go to those things, and some people didn't, and that's okay, because people are different, and you got to do what's different. Today, I personally believe that while I'm very worried about the COVID-19 Delta variant, and I strongly believe people need to get vaccinated, I also believe of choice. And I do believe we need to get back to normal. And the more we let this thing take over our lives, the harder it's going to be to get back to normal. Now, like everybody else, I'm surprised at the rising rates. Lord knows it's something that we have to be concerned about. But I do believe we need to get back to normal. I also believe in personal choice. If you've been fully vaccinated and you want to wear a mask, do so. But if you've been fully vaccinated and you don't want to do, then don't wear it. It's up to personal choice. It's what's made this country great. It's a great nation, and it's because we can do what we want to do. Well, back to Mako, I think they talked about a session they went to on Saturday, and I missed it, and I'm sorry I did. But I went to one on on Thursday, and I thought that was probably the most interesting session I went to out there the whole time. The people involved were the financial director, or the CFO, Chief Financial Officer for Anne Arundel County. And there also was the Director of Revenue Forecast for the Office of the Comptroller for the state of Maryland. And lastly was the retired Director of Revenue Forecast for the General Assembly. Now, I've sat in this seat during the last budget session and talked about the need to be conservative with our estimates. That one day we're going to have a day of reckoning for this COVID shutdown when we were all home doing puzzles and watching Netflix and doing whatever we did, and economic activity was very stagnant. And the point is that I understand that it takes a while for that to come. But what we're seeing is good revenues well above our projections. This county is liable to see $25 to $30 million, if not more, of a fund balance. The school board's liable to see $16 to $17, $18 million in fund balance. And people would say, Commissioner Hewitt, your conservative approach to this is keeping people from paying our deputies as much as we could, and I want to pay them as much as any deputies out there can get. I want the best deal for our teachers we can get and our county employees. But I don't want to put recurring cost paying with money that may not reoccur. So I was very interested to hear what these three gentlemen had to say about the post-COVID economic environment. And what was very interesting to me was the Director of Revenue Forecast. His name is Andrew, and I'm sorry I can't pronounce his last name. I could spell it for you, but I won't bore you with that. But they called him Andy, and he was a very delightful person. But he said this recovery has been like a Nike swoosh, boom, and back up. But he said what we need to be careful of is probably in the next 18 to 24 months, it's probably going to continue. But then there's going to be, his term, a precipitous drop-off in revenue growth. That if you're spending it now, you may want to be wary because you may either have to cut services or increase taxes to accommodate what happens in 23 and 24. It's always easy to say, hey, I got it now, let me put it out there. But it's important that we make sure we don't spend it. His term was, we're on a sugar high right now. In the last 18 months, I was surprised to learn that the federal government, the stimulus money, has been $70 billion to the state of Maryland. He said the people who had the low-income jobs that were laid off or weren't working were the ones in the hotel industries or the ones in the restaurant industries, or the lower-paying jobs, and that those jobs did not impact our income as much. But those people received their unemployment plus $600 or $300 or whatever the amount was, stipends above. They actually had take-home pays that was above what they had when they were working. So they were able to spend. Other thought is people in high-income jobs, let's say doctors, lawyers, engineers, professionals. Those people, well, they teleworked. They got paid. Government workers, contractors, they all got paid. Now, the interesting thing is people couldn't spend. They couldn't go on vacation. I'm sorry I'm taking so long, and I'll get to my point. The point is that there was a lot of money that was built up in the economy, and people are now spending it. And we are seeing this economic activity that is well above what we expected. That's a good thing. Thank God we're seeing that. But we're going to have a day of reckoning. And it's important to know that it's probably going to be in 18 to 24 months, and that we need to be prepared for that. They told us, instead of spending your money on reoccurring funds, reoccurring expenses, you should concentrate on increasing your fund balance. You should concentrate on paying down or paying up your OPEB, your retirement funding. And you should concentrate on paying PAYGO. Don't borrow money to do projects, because you have to pay interest, and plus you got to pay it back. But try and pay cash, if that's the term I should use. PAYGO, pay as you go. And I thought that was very good advice. Now, let's segue into the Hollywood Volunteer Fire Department. My wife joined Ladies Auxiliary a couple years back. She likes to meet people. We had retired. She wanted to meet some new people. One of her friends joined. She joined with her friend. And it is just taken up her time. Now, thank God, I mean, it's wonderful. But Saturday, she had to go to that bridal shower for my niece. So she asked me to work her shift up there. Oh, my goodness. We were so busy. They said it was the busiest night they've ever had at a carnival. We worked our heads off. And it was amazing that the amount of people that were out, I think, honestly, what it was, and they've talked about it, it was people who just wanting to get out. They want to get back to normal. They want to get to the carnivals, and they want to get to the rides, and all the children and grandparents. It was really wonderful. We worked again Sunday. Now, we get there at 6. We don't get home till almost midnight. It is so busy. And the dedication of those people at Hollywood Volunteer Fire Department and all the fire departments is just amazing. And it's honestly very encouraging. It warms my heart to see it. And I'm very glad to do it. Hey, my wife and I are doing the ice cream stand this week, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. As I say, come by and I'll serve you a cold one. Now let me, earlier today, a good friend died. unexpectedly. He was in the hospital and it was all going to be okay. Excuse me. It was going to be okay. And it wasn't. I apologize, but it hurts. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners. First thing I want to do is want to put a plug out for the Crab Festival this Friday. I'm a member of the Lions Club in Leonardtown, and we're sponsoring it, and we'll be working the area. So for those of you who missed last year, I know we usually do it in June, but this year it's in August, and that was delayed because of the COVID and everything, but please do come out. We're expecting a good day Saturday, so come on out and enjoy some good steamed hard crabs and other things. You know, we're famous for that area, for crabs and oysters in this area, and we hope to have plenty online for us all to enjoy. So remember, this Saturday, Crab Festival. I do want to put out, we're not the only ones that have a problem with the economic impact. Our first day at MACo, I'm here on MACo again like everybody else did, but our open remarks, the mayor and I think one of the town council members gave us a little briefing, and one thing that hit hard was usually when I get there the evening of Tuesday, the first thing I do is go to a restaurant called Coins on 23rd Street. As far as I'm concerned, they got the best crab cakes in the area. When I called them up at first, an answer machine came on. They were closed. They were literally closed Monday and Tuesday. Normally, they're open 7 days a week. And they said, same thing again, shortage of help. So I said, okay, I'm going to walk down to Anthony's on the corner of 23rd Street and get me a nice sub and a bottle of wine. So I walked down there. There's one cashier sitting there by himself. I looked down towards the deli, and it was dark. I said, can I get a sub? The guy says, no. Due to help shortage, we're closed at 5 o'clock. I said, 5 o'clock? Dinner's just starting then. He says, you see who's sitting there? I'm the owner. I'm the only one here today. It was shocking, but the next morning we got a briefing from the mayor of Ocean City and one of the council members, and he explained some of the real severe shortage of help, that normally Ocean City gets 5,500 students, being college, high school, and foreigners that come into Ocean City every year to work. They only had 1,200 this year. And mainly due to this pandemic, they couldn't get people in there and whatever. So it was a severe shortage all over. Even our hotel had a different kind of, you might say, rather than clean every day, we only clean your room if you ask for it. But if you want additional things, mark on the card and we'll leave it by your door. Towels and things like that. And I said, wow. And there's, once again, a severe shortage of help. So we're all trying to get out of this pandemic. I know it's tough. It's going to be still a strain. And I got to agree with Commissioner Hewitt. We've got to be careful in how we do our spending. Because I think, I've always believed this, in a couple of years it's going to hit us. And it's going to be a downturn. And we're not going to have the support we have now. So we got to be careful about how we spend our money and use it for non-occurring expenses right now rather than reoccurring, because it's going to hit us hard. So we have to be very careful how we do this. I still believe that. Other than that, I would like to say that we are enjoying like I said, a great thing right now. The MACo was very interesting. Even though Commissioner Hewitt and Colvin met with several people, I met with the same people later on during the governor's we get a chance to meet all these directors at the state level. This is about a once-a-year thing. I'll meet with these people. I met with Mr. Powell and gave him a few other things that I thought need to be worked on in our roads. It's getting worse and worse to deal with our asphalt overlays and things like that. We're starting to dip into our own bonds in order to do road repairs versus getting the money from the state that we used to get. It's just not there, and how we're going to supplement this is getting worse and worse every year. But I do believe that transportation is very important for us, and also if we get our roads fixed up. And but all these people are here to try to help at least, and I believe Powell is from MemDOT is sincere and will try to do his best. So we'll see what happens on all that. Other than that, don't forget Crab Festival. Please do come out this Saturday. It's unique in our area, and believe me, steamed crab seems to be unique to Maryland only, in some of Virginia, but the rest of the country doesn't know what a steamed crab is. So here we are. So please do come out and support not only the festival itself, but our Lions Club, which we contribute much to the site and here. So with that, we will now adjourn the meeting for today. Thank you.